I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we have Dr. Ian Jones, the brilliant author behind the gripping thriller Lost in Vegas. This suspenseful novel follows John Smith. He is a problem solver on a mission to find a missing woman in the city of Las Vegas. Tune in right now as we explore the twists and turns of this intense mystery that keeps readers on the edge of their seats. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Books to Life Marketing for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Dr. Jones, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Hello, Logan. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Thanks for joining us here today. What inspired you to create the character of John Smith and set the story in the city of sin known as Las Vegas?
Well, yeah, there's two sides of that actually. I had the idea for John Smith because I read a lot of books, always have done, and right back to kind of James Bond, but I wanted to my kind of hero just to be someone anonymous, just to be someone that nobody would look at twice. You know, he'd walk into a room, nobody takes any notice. So I started writing with that in mind to have this character who's got some skills, but you know, he's always underestimated. Nobody ever really takes him that seriously. But he can get things done. And in regards to running it in Las Vegas, that's actually a story in itself. When I started to write the story originally, it was I said it in London. Then I happened to be in Las Vegas for work, and strangely, bizarrely, I had a meeting, and I walked back to the hotel from the meeting. It was at a place just a little bit outside the south of Las Vegas, and it started to rain. You know, which struck me. I thought, wow, no, I didn't think it ever rained in Vegas. And I got back to the hotel and the rain was running down the hotel window and I was looking out and I just looked at Las Vegas and I thought, wow, story's got to be here. And I mean it. If I'd have had a couple of weeks, I could have finished the book. The inspiration, there was just something about it. I like Las Vegas anyway. I always really enjoy being there. But that moment, that was it. I just sat down with the laptop, you know, kind of got rid of everything I'd written and just started again and said it all in Las Vegas. So thank you, Las Vegas.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Viva Las Vegas. It
yeah,
really worked well as a setting for your book. It is a
yeah.
terrific city. It does seem like so much is happening within the subtext of the city. And the same thing is true with your book. There's a lot happening.
Yeah.
Let's give the folks at home an overview of the story.
Well, essentially, John Smith, who you don't know a huge amount about his background. You know that once he was a soldier, and then he had a job for the government, but you're never completely sure what the working for the UK government. And then he left, and he decided that he was going to just, with the contacts he had, he was just going to work for himself. And he was, as you rightly said at the beginning, he solves problems. That's what his job is. You know, whether it's a bad debt or whatever it is. And he gets asked by this very wealthy man here in London to find his daughter who has gone to Las Vegas. And this man has got a history of dealing with someone in Las Vegas who's kind of disappeared and his son's taken over and it's all very mysterious, you know, and he doesn't really know exactly what's happened. But since then, everything's gone downhill. And his sons basically run the business. They're actually involved in the company. His daughter's a little bit on the outside of it. And he asked her not to go to Las Vegas, but she did go anyway. And she's been a little while and she's disappeared. And John Smith is recommended to him by somebody that he knows. So John goes out there to try to find Abby. But he finds out very quickly that he's not particularly welcome in the city, which he's never been to before. He's never been there before. And suddenly there's a lot more going on. And that's pretty much how the story unfolds.
Absolutely.
And
That's the premise of
yeah,
the story. And it
yeah,
really engages the reader, that's for sure. Have you envisioned this as a film or a TV series?
It's quite fun enough. The from the time it was published, the reviews have been very good actually. Um, and or a lot of the early reviews were people were saying this should be a movie, this should be a movie. And yeah, and I must admit it's kind of got into my head now. And yeah, I think it would be a good movie. I think it would be. Um, because as you said about, Vegas is it's like nowhere else. There's so much going on there, and it's always busy, and there's lots of things. I've met a few people that live in Las Vegas now, and there's definitely multiple sides of that city. A lot more than just
Exactly.
the strip. So yeah, so I think yeah, I would love it to be a movie. Yeah, I think it does kind of lend itself to
Absolutely.
being something like that. Yeah, I think it does. I don't know,
Actor.
I must admit I've never been involved in movie making. You know far more than I do about this. So don't know altogether what would be involved in
Well, all
doing
you
that.
need to do is get somebody interested in the book, purchase the book rights to turn it into a screenplay, and from there the ball would be rolling. So the
Okay.
first part is already done. The book is produced, the book is out there, the book is published. It can
Yeah.
end up in anybody's hands, and you never know who'd want to turn it into a
Yeah.
film.
Yeah, I
So,
did talk to somebody once who said that they were looking at the TV, but it didn't come to anything.
right.
So I think you need to be talking to the right people.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
people, right place, right time, a little serendipity involved, and you never know, magic could
Ah,
happen.
that's a good
Yeah,
word.
without a doubt, without a
Yeah.
doubt.
Yeah.
Who would play John Smith?
Oh, yeah. Lots of people have made suggestions for that, like Jason Statham and Tom Hardy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know really, to be honest with you. There's quite a few actors. I do think that he needs to be British.
yeah,
I think that's kind of essential for the story because he's almost a fish out of water.
yeah.
He's never been to Vegas before. So I think I think we would need to keep him British, although maybe there's other ideas on that. I'm not particularly set in stone on that.
Clive
But
Owen just played Philip Marlowe, a famous
yes, yes.
detective.
Yeah, I
So
haven't seen that.
he'd be a good
I haven't
choice
seen
as
that.
well. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I've not seen that yet. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I would say probably someone like Jason Statham or Tom Hardy are probably a bit too famous for it.
Well, they kind of
But
also have that everyman look. I can never picture what Tom Hardy looks like exactly. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
well, he would be good because you're absolutely right. He always is a completely different character, and he
Yeah,
never looks the same. So he would work actually
yeah,
if you kind of like sort of did him down a little bit, so he's not quite so
exactly.
handsome. You know,
Exactly.
that
Somebody
would
who
work.
is a
Yeah,
little bit like a John Smith, which of course is kind of a ubiquitous name, which is why you chose it as well, no
it
doubt.
is. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Tell us a
yeah.
little bit about your writing and your career as a writer.
Well, I've always loved to write from when I was young, really. Um, and initially, I used to write black comedies because that's
Mm,
always been my big thing. I love black comedies, books, and movies. But I discovered, and not actually from writing a long time, probably only about 10, maybe 12 years ago, I realized that actually I could never actually finish the novels
mm,
because I've always worked for a living. So you kind of write when you've got the time.
mm.
So I would write, I don't know, maybe 75% of a book and think, okay, I'm getting on really well with this. And then you wouldn't touch it for a while, sit down, write it again. I'd read back what I've written, and then I've written myself into a corner. And I kept on doing this, kept on doing it. And then the thriller idea came about actually with a different story to John Smith, um, a story about a New York hitman who comes to London.
Mm.
Um, and that story, so I wrote that story and I finished it, I completed it. And then the John Smith came about because I'd already been thinking about the next thing. And I just like the idea of John Smith. I like the idea of this guy who no one takes any notice of. He's just somebody that's there. So he's always underestimated. And I like the idea of that, because a lot of the books, for example, I love the Jack Reacher books. They're fantastic, but he's this great, big, imposing guy.
Ah.
He walks in and everybody runs for cover almost. He leaves his mark just by being there. And I thought, yeah, I kind of want John Smith to be the opposite.
Yeah.
That nobody would ever notice it.
I think in real life, that's how it is. The spies really blend in. They don't look like six
Yeah.
foot six and 290 pounds
Yeah.
because,
No, I think so.
yeah,
I think so.
exactly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. 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 Anonymous.
Well,
Yeah.
you've done
Yeah.
a great job with this book, a great job with the character of John Smith. The name of the
Thank
book
you.
is
Thank
Lost
you.
in Vegas. It's a suspenseful novel that follows the protagonist, John Smith. He's a problem solver on a mission to find a missing woman in the city of sin known as Las Vegas. It's a great story. It'll keep you on the edge of your seat. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you so much, Logan. Lovely to talk to you. Thank you.
Same here, right back at you. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.